Hello, church and community. Well, glad to be back with you once again this week. Glad that the sky has cleared up a little bit. It was a very rainy morning, but I was able to come outside this afternoon and share this encouraging word with you. For those of you who are reading through the Bible, are on the same Bible reading plan as we are at Calvary, you know that we just started Proverbs today. And in Proverbs chapter 3, there are a couple of, I know, very familiar verses to many of you. And that's verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Both the Old Testament and the New Testament use a few different words let me put it this way. In English, there's a few different words that are used to translate one word in both the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that is the word faith. In English, we translate this one word several different ways. We translate it faith, or we translate it believe, or we translate it trust. And just depending on the context, each one of those is a little bit better in some places. I know when it comes to the words faith and believe, both of those things are something that can be done with the mind, with the head, and not really penetrate the heart. I guess what I mean is that we can believe a set of facts, or we can have faith in a doctrinal statement, and those things that we believe in with our mind not necessarily have any transforming effect in our lives. But when it comes to the word trust, that's just such an excellent word in English, because the word trust, as we have here in Proverbs 3, verse 5, is so relational. Trust implies that you are finding something or someone trustworthy. And they go on, the Bible goes on in the second part of verse 5 to use the word lean. Do not lean on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord. Do not lean on your own understanding. Instead, lean on God. I think about a missionary named John Peyton. He was a Scottish missionary, and he lived on islands in the South Seas, late 1800s. Most of the time, he was ministering alone. He buried a wife and a child in his early years as a missionary, but still stayed on the mission field. And he was working with a completely unreached people group, a cannibalistic people group. And so many times in his biography and autobiography are quite exciting if you ever get a chance to read any of those. Many times John found himself fleeing for his life. He would climb trees to get away from the people on the island who just were so hostile to his message that they often wanted to kill him. Sometimes he would go and he would stand in between two tribes that were about to go to war with one another to be a mediator between those two tribes, and just simply risked his life over and over to bring the gospel to these people, which after many years, the gospel did begin to take root in their culture. Many people got saved. And so one of the things that John was doing was translating the Bible into their language. And this was a very arduous task. And when he came to John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so that whoever believes in him shall not perish. When he came to that passage, he began to find it difficult because there was not a word in the people's language for believe. They didn't have a word for faith or trust or believe. And so he was scratching his head. He was trying to figure out, I mean, this is such a crucial word when it comes to explaining the gospel. How can I convey what a passage like John 3:16 means in their language? And so one day when he was puzzling over this, one of his friends, one of the natives on the island, came and plopped down in a chair next to him and said, "It feels so good to rest my weight on this chair." And suddenly John had it. In a flash, he realized, I can use that word in their language they have for rest. Whosoever rest in him, whosoever rest in Jesus, rest in the Lord, will have eternal life. Because the idea is that you're leaning on God. You're putting your whole weight on God. Brother Bill, several weeks ago, one of his messages, he stood up on a stool on the stage, and maybe it was concerning to some of you, but he kept his balance. But he was making the point that he was trusting in that stool. He was putting his whole weight on it, and in fact, the stool did hold him. And so that's the same idea. Are you leaning into God? Not leaning, not putting your weight, not putting all of your expectation on anything else, definitely not yourself, but are you leaning into God? Because if you do, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:6, another way to say, trust God, lean into God, rest in God, acknowledge him. Acknowledge him in everything you do. It's a relationship that we as Christians have with the living God, and he will make your path straight. If you're leaning on God, then he will make your path straight to Jesus. And then if you place your faith in Jesus Christ and you walk with him, God will continue to make your path straight, because that's what it means to walk in his will. It doesn't mean things will be easy, but it means the Lord himself will undertake to walk with you and make all of your paths straight. Hope that encourages you today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless.